here for irishboxing.com. Absolutely delighted to be joined by Mark Dunlop. Post-fight here, Mark, at your show, at your 21st pro show. Congratulations on that, first of all, because in the climate that we live in Irish boxing, it is not difficult to put on shows, so fair play. First of all, a successful night. Unfortunately, only three fights, but just review the show for me and talk to me about it.
Well, yeah, we started off with 5 fights. I'm not even going to go into why I lost 2 of the fights, but you know, it's very, very disappointing with commissions. I've tried my best. We're in a pandemic. I need all the help I can get. You know, tonight was a good crowd for 3 fights. You know, there were 3 well-matched fights. So everyone went home happy. They were, as I say, they were exciting fights. You were there, you seen it. So yeah, I know I was delighted with the show, and everyone, I haven't had one complaint. Brilliant.
Excellent. Let's review the fights kind of one by one. Briefly, if we can. Obviously, we started off with Rowan Farrell, a pro debut that's kind of been taken ages to come off. You know, I think he had 5 cancelled debuts or something ludicrous like that. Just talk to me about Rowan's performance and how pleased you must be to be able to get him out finally on a show.
Yeah, well, I got a call off, who was it? I think it was John Breen phoned me up and said, we'll do anything for this kid, you know. In fact, I tell her that, it was Mel Crystal phoned me, he said, no, can we help out this guy? He's the president, Mel's the president of BUS, you know, and I was very, very hesitant because of the history where he's had fights fall through everything, and there's only so many slots in this show, you know, and I didn't want to give one to someone that's never going to make him get across the line. Now, this kid never let me down once, and I don't understand how anyone has not, you know, followed through with it. Now, again, when you say about the time, he's been unlucky because, same as everybody, it's a pandemic, so forget about 2 years, you know, forget about 2 of those years. But it's given the time to mature. He's 23, and you know, I was shocked at the weight he came in. He came in very, very light for this contest, which was his natural weight, which I didn't realise he could be a featherweight, even super bantamweight, you know. So yeah, there's plenty of options there for him. Like, yeah, I was very delighted. I was delighted that he won. I was delighted that, you know, that he brought a good crowd, obviously, because, you know, if the fans don't want to come and see you, what's the point? Exactly, you know, really, genuinely. And it's good to see another kid have his dream fulfilled. You know, he'll never forget this night, ever.
Definitely not. About Jason Hardy, I believe he went 2 or 3. Yeah, Jason from Liverpool.
Jason, I didn't know much about, to be honest with you. I'm very, very good friends with his manager, Davy McAllister from Northern Sporting Club. Davy's pulled me out many times. You know, one of his boxers boxed James Tennyson back in the Odyssey, the SSC Arena. Me and Davy have a great relationship. I've boxed in his shows, he's boxed in my shows, and he needed make this kid have his Irish debut. He couldn't make it over himself. Talked a lot about him, spoke highly of him, wanted him in a good fight. And the kid that he fought was very, very tough. At that point, he had won 1 and lost 1 when I had made the fight. Then he fought last week and got a draw against the kid. So I was waiting on them and saying they don't want the fight. But fair play to you know, Jason and his team. They stepped up, and it was a cracking contest. And I was very, very, very delighted to be part of that contest because I knew how tough the kid that he fought was. Yeah. And Jason reminded me of a Steve Collins. I think this kid's going to go all the way. You know, he's the 3 fights now and they went a distance, but really, I think he needs stepped up in terms of rounds. Let's be honest, if it had been another round or 2 rounds, you'd have stopped that kid. You know, so yeah, that kid's got a big, big future. And, you know, I was delighted to be part of that there journey.
Yeah, that's class. And obviously, we had Colin Murphy topping the bill. Obviously, that's the one fighter on the bill tonight who is signed by yourself. Yeah. And is it promotional and managerial,
yes,
or
promotional
just
and managerial? Yeah. I guess, yes.
Of course, we had a 5th round stoppage. Colm looked good. There's stuff to work on by from yourself saying to me, and also Colm himself. Yeah. But just review the fight. What did you think of it?
I thought it was a very good performance. I thought his debut was unbelievable. It was one of the best debuts I've ever seen. So maybe I was expecting too much. But I thought he'd done fantastic. He stopped a kid that was coming here to win. The kid was a really good amateur as well. So it was a big fight to take on. But, you know, really, if like Colm was, you know, like a Commonwealth Games youth bronze medalist, All Ireland champion, you know, he's got to be beating these kids if he's going to do what his coach tells me he can do. Yeah. You know, like, he's very, very good, and I'm very excited to be part of his journey as well. To say, his coach is a good coach. I managed you know, myself to an Irish title, and, you know, I think I did about 6 or 7 fights with me, and have a good relationship with him. It was very good, but I thought he was loaded up very much tonight. He was trying to knock him out with every punch. Where his debut, he was incredible. He was bobbing, weaving. You know, he didn't never get hit that night at all. But they're all learning fights, and that was the learning fight he was in tonight, and he passed with flying colours. You know, maybe I'm too much a perfectionist, but, you know, I know Colm's ambitions, and so you have to take the criticism with the applause.
Yeah. 100%. Let's talk a little bit about the show briefly. Obviously, you had 2 fights fall out, as you said at the start of the interview, but 3 fights on the show. Was there ever a concern? Did you ever think like you might have to, were you ever worried you might have to cancel the show? What goes through your head as a promoter when you're putting on a show and then there is all of a sudden only 3 fights on it? What kind of concerns do come to your head?
Well, obviously, we're going to lose money. You're going to lose money anyway, but as I said, I'm not in this for money, which is the secret of my success. You know, I have a real good stable. You know, they've all done great, you know, so anything that does come from them big nights goes back into the other kids, you know, and I would have went with 1 fight, to be honest with you, because, you know, what it would have cost me, in reality, would have cost, like all these kids are getting sponsorship to go away and fight, you know, in Timbuktu and knock somebody out in a round. I've done it myself, you know, I've done it in the pandemic because nothing was happening here, just to keep kids active, and there's nothing wrong with that, but in the reality of it is, you know, there's a lot of people afraid to fight up the north because they know they're not going to get the real handy ones that they can get abroad or even, you know, down south, whatever, but, you know, but then they're not going to learn nothing from it. They're giving money away, aren't they? Let's be honest, they really are giving money away. So, yeah, I'm delighted to still be able to put the show on, as I say. Yeah, it was an evening. It was, you know, the people that came tonight were coming to watch their fighter, you know. But as I say, every seat in there is like being ringside at a big show. You know why? The excitement when they're not ready to go on to a big show and box in front of nobody. You look at what's his name. What's that kid called? The Olympian. What's his name? Kurt Walker. Like this kid's a class kid. Like, and he boxed, you know, on that big show last week, and there's nobody there. You know, I'd rather be in there having his fans and his family screaming and making that pro debut a very, very special moment. Yeah, not, you know what I mean? That's just me, and it works for me. It works for my fighters, and the success, you know, that I must be doing something right.
Definitely. I mean, the atmosphere, I have to say, I will commend the audience and the fighters, because they're at this level, they're the people who really do bring their family and friends out. The atmosphere was outrageous tonight, especially for Colm, I have to say, at the very end. But it was so raucous, and because the room is not that big and everyone's so close to the ring, it really does create a special atmosphere, doesn't it?
Well, they're paying 50 quid for a ticket minimum just to get in, right? And like whenever I started out 10 years ago, the tickets were 25. You know, but in reality, like, they're 50 because it's like everything in the world. Everything's costing much more. Flights, hotels, purses, you know, everything's more. So, so you can't ask people to come out and watch somebody fall over. But everybody learned something tonight, didn't they? Definitely. You know, even the guys that lost learned something tonight. You know, so, yeah, you know, and to have no complaints, you know, at all, you know.
Must be a big plus for you.
Yeah, and a big thanks to Eddie Hearn for all them books, because they made a lot of people happy on the way home, didn't they? You know?
Yeah. Books for me, Mark. You're joking.
I lost one going. You put the pen in the envelope, you might have got one like that.
Yeah, fair enough. Come here, quick word on Tommy McCarthy, who's had his rematch with Chris Billum-Smith announced for, it's the 16th of April, I think, isn't it, on the chief support to Conor Benn against Chris Van Heerden. You must be delighted getting that over the line.
Yes, 100%. No, as I say, like, there's an old saying that I always say, like, I never stop or never close. We're never closed at MHD Promotions. I've been working with Frank Smith on this for a long time. I was disappointed that Tommy didn't get the straight rematch. I thought he won the first fight. In reality, if I was that kid's manager, you know, I wouldn't take the rematch because, you know, Tommy won the first fight. But in reality, like, they're all into a Coley. there's nowhere to go. This kid's nowhere to go. If I had a kid who was British, Commonwealth, and European champion, the next fight I'd be looking at without a shadow of a doubt would be a world title. Yeah. So Tommy McCarthy's going to go. He's going to beat this kid. He's going to win his title back. He's going to get fair judging, right? And he's going to go on and fight and win the world title. And I don't know what that Chris Billiam-Smith's going to do. You know, that's the reality, because he's obviously second string. Yeah. And all my fighters get 100% equal. And that's why Colin Murphy tonight topped the bill, and Eric Donovan will top the next one. And you asked anyone, D. Waltz, when he was boxing, topped the bill. Every one of my fighters, whether they have 1 fight or 10 fights or 50 fights, they all get a wee opportunity at topping the bill. It's all experience.
Yeah. And that's, I suppose, you don't get praised as being a very good manager for no reason, Mark, and that's obviously part of it. You're trying to give them all these different kind of experiences, so that they're ready when they do have to step up and they get on the big card, that it's not a foreign experience to them, right?
Well, as I say, they've all been up, down, over, out, and back again, because they're learning. You know, you get a kid who's you know, Adam Booth, I remember watching an interview with him, and he says, all a good amateur career gets you is your first 10 wins. And look at then when it gets real tough, and the tough kids, like, you know, like, it doesn't matter, the amateur experience counts for nothing. You're talking real, like, going to the well, heart, guts, everything. You know, some things like the Lord above doesn't give it to everybody. Yeah. You know, and you'll know that on the way up. So in reality, like, the ins, the outs, the overs are all learning experiences. And, you know, in my stable, a loss doesn't mean the end. Yeah. You know, many, it does. Believe me, you know, like, you know, a promoter, a big TV promoter will walk away from me in a heartbeat, but not me. No.
A quick word on Eric Donovan, unfortunately coming up short against the two-time Olympic gold medalist in Robesi Ramirez on the undercard of Amir Khan and Kell Brook, wasn't it? Mm. It was... No, it was... sorry, did you hear me? Jack Harrow and Josh Taylor, excuse me. That's... yeah. That's a bad mistake to make. But it looked a tough matchup going in, but Ramirez just seemed to be a step above. Can you just reflect on the fight for me?
You know, whenever I offered the fight to Eric, in a heartbeat he said yes, and then him and his coach Packy went away and they talked about it, and in reality we all knew that was his world title fight. Yeah. You know, like, as he said, he's made it clear this is his last year. And I said, well, go out there and enjoy yourself. And if you beat this kid, you will get a world title shot without a shadow of a doubt. Excuse me. So roll the dice and go. You're getting well paid for it. He's a prize fighter. That's what it's all about. Yeah. You know, and no one can take that from Eric, that he fought a two-time Olympic champion. You know, and I spoke to one of the judges. It was one apiece, you know, in terms of rounds. But he caught a real good shot, and that was it. And after reflecting and talking with Eric afterwards, you know, he doesn't regret it. I don't regret it. His team don't regret it. You know, he's done something again that, you know, that nobody, you know, here has done, which is fought a two-time Olympic champion. You know, on one of the biggest shows in the world that weekend.
Yeah, 100%, massive show. Yeah, Jack Harrow and Josh Taylor, not Amir Khan and Kell Brook. Yeah, no, 100%. Very, very last thing I'll ask you is, where do you want... You're hopefully going to get Eric to top a bill. Your next bill, I think, is in May. You've announced tonight.
14th of May. Back in here again.
So what's next for Eric then?
Well, as I say, we had a title fight trying to line up before this one came, before the last one came along. Yeah. Unfortunately, you can't win any titles on a stoppage loss, so we need to get Eric back. It could be potentially his last fight. He's made that clear himself on social media. So I just want to see Eric back and, you know, see where he goes and just take him there. You know, hopefully he'll get a win, and then who knows what else will come. You know, he's still very marketable. He's still, you know, he's a TV pundit. You know what I mean? People want to see him. You know, so he's actually on a TV show on the Monday. You know, after the show, the 14th, I think he was in the filming on the 16th thing, and he's saying, what about my looks? I said, you're too good to worry about, you know, too good looking to worry about black eyes and all. It's all part of the story. So he says, right, I'm up for it. Let's go. So yeah, I'm glad to have Eric back topping the bill, and he more than deserves it.
Yeah. Tell you what I will do. Very quickly, can you make comment on James Tennyson? He's been out of the ring for a while.
James was tonight, as I say. James has got a real good job now. he hasn't decided yet what he wants to do. I'm not going to rush him. He's been with me 10 years. You know, he's got a house out of boxing, a car out of boxing. He's a family. You know, he's enjoying himself for a change, and he just needs to get the fire back in the belly, same as Paul Hyland Jr. You know, like, they'll come back. They'll tell me when they want to come back. As I say, if I was in this for money, I'd be dragging them down the gym. You know what I mean? But I'm not. So, you know, we're talking people's lives here, and they ask someone to go in, you know, if their heart isn't 100% in it. And I'm not saying their heart's not 100% in it. I'm just saying they'll tell me what they want, you know, and I'll make it happen.
One way or the other, 100%. Mark, thanks very much for talking to irishboxing.com, and thanks for having me up tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.